The Crown Tundra expansion for Pokemon Sword and Shield has just released, and just like the release of any new Pokemon game, or in this case expansion, comes new Pokemon along with it, and my opinions and some cool facts to be had about them. That is exactly what we're going to be covering in today's video, my opinion on every new Pokemon introduced in the Crown Tundra, including the new Galarian forms, as well as some really cool facts about them. This is actually going to be the conclusion of a mini-series I started a while back on facts about every single Galar Pokemon. I also didn't include the Galarian forms in those previous videos, but if you guys enjoy the facts about these Galarian forms I'm going to be talking about today, maybe we can cover the rest of those in a future video as well. Also, it should be pretty self-evident, but there are going to be some spoilers in this video, so if you've not played through the Crown Tundra and you don't want to be spoiled, this is your fair warning. With that being said, let's get into the video. Starting with the Reggies, we have a simple but cool fact about Regieleki, as Regieleki has the highest base speed stat of any Pokemon currently in existence, with a whopping base 200 speed. As far as my opinion about it, I absolutely love it just like most people do. I love that they added more Reggies to the Legendary Titan family, and I hope we see more stuff like that in the future. Next up is Reggie Drago, and speaking of stats of the Legendary Titans, Reggie Drago is the only member of the Legendary Titan family that does not have a base HP stat of 80, instead having a whopping 200. The 80 stat actually went to its speed in this case, and that also makes Reggie Drago the only Reggie with a base speed stat of 80 as well. As far as my opinion of it, I absolutely love it. It's my new favorite Reggie, and I want to see more of it, just like I said with Regieleki. Now we come to the two Pokemon who weren't officially revealed prior to the release of the Crown Tundra, and that would be the two horse Pokemon Glastrier and Spectrier. Now, these Pokemon are kind of a 2-for-1 in the fact department, as they are both most likely based on the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse from the Bible, with Glastrier representing the white horse of conquest given its white coloration, and the fact that the Pokedex says it can basically take anything it wants by force, which is very similar to that horse of conquest from the Bible. And given its connection to Glastrier, Spectrier is likely based on the Black Horse of Famine, given once again its connection to Glastrier and its connection to the 4 Horsemen, as well as its primary black coloration, just like the Black Horse of Famine. And while that inspiration is a really cool one, as far as my own opinion goes on these two Pokemon, they are probably already my least favorite legendary Pokemon, and some of the worst designed Pokemon in general in my own opinion. I just think they look really plain and basic, which I think was partially intentional due to the fact that they fuse with Calorics, but given that they can also be their own individual Pokemon, I think they look entirely too plain and basic and just not really inspired at all, so they are not my favorite by any means, but once again, this is just my own opinion. Next, we are going to move on to Calorics, and I actually covered Calorics itself in those earlier videos I mentioned, which you can watch with the iCard at the top right corner of the screen. So with that said, I am going to cover its 2 additional forms in this video, starting with the Shadow Rider form. Shadow Rider Calorics has the highest base speed stat of any Ghost-type Pokemon currently in existence, with a whopping 150 base speed. And when it comes to Ice Rider Calorics, a fact about it that also applies to Shadow Rider Calorics is that these two Pokemon, or forms rather, are the second Pokemon ever to be the fusion of 2 separate Pokemon. And ironically, just like the first fused Pokemon, Black and White Kyurem, Shadow and Ice Rider Calorics are made by fusing Calorics with 2 different Pokemon, both of whom, just like Zekrom and Reshiram, are counterparts to each other and are primarily and very distinctively black and white in color. And finally, when it comes to my opinion of them, it's not much better than my opinion of the base forms of Glastrier and Spectrier. I think it's really weird and odd how Calorics is simply just riding the 2 horse Pokemon for this fused form. Once again, I think it's kind of a basic approach, I don't think it's very creative, and so I'm not a fan of it really at all, but once again, just my opinion. And now we move into the new Galarian forms that were introduced in this expansion, starting with Articuno. Galarian Articuno, as well as the rest of the Galarian legendary birds, all have shiny forms of course. However, these shiny forms are pretty special because they all gain the colorations of their respective Cantonian counterparts in these shiny variations. Moving on to Zapdos, one distinct thing about Cantonian Zapdos is that with its electric typing, it actually has a type advantage over the other two members of its trio in Articuno and Moltres. However, when it comes to its Galarian form, this is actually flip-flopped, and due to its fighting type compared to the other two birds' flying type, actually has a disadvantage type-wise against the other members of its trio this time around. Believe it or not, according to the Pokédex, Moltres actually got its name thanks to its Galarian form, not its Cantonian form, as its Shield Dex entry states that the sinister aura that blazes like molten fire around this Pokémon is what inspired the name Moltres. And when it comes to my opinion on the Galarian legendary birds, just like essentially everyone else, I absolutely love them to death. They are easily some of the coolest designed Pokemon and coolest concepts that Game Freak have created in a while, and as far as a favorite, it's hard for me to even pick because they are all phenomenal. I genuinely cannot put one over the other for you guys as much as I would like because I love them all to death so much. It's just too hard to pick, and I really hope we get to see more regional variant legendary Pokemon, as well as really far out and crazy things like this happen in Pokemon in the future, because it's just really fun and awesome to see. Moving along, Galarian Slowking gains the Poison type in its regional variant form thanks to a chemical reaction involving Shelder's poison seeping into its brain, according to both the Pokédex and the Sword and Shield website. Shelder Poison is even mentioned in regular Slowking Dex entries dating all the way back to the Generation 2 games. However, not only is Shelder not Poison type, it is actually unable to learn any Poison type moves by any means whatsoever, making these two evolutions a little bit suspect. When it comes to how I feel about Galarian Slowking, I actually really like it a lot. I actually made a video recently where I talked about the possibility that Galarian Slowking could be based on the famous European witch trials from the 15 and 1600s, which I just think is really awesome if that is actually true, which makes me love Galarian Slowking just that much more. And last but not least, we have Zarood. Even though Zarood was not introduced as a part of the Crown Tundra expansion, I have not yet covered it in this little mini-series on facts about every Galar Pokemon, so I had to throw it in here in order to cover the whole Galar Dex. Zarood being a mythical Pokemon that is based on a monkey might seem pretty out of place for a region that is based on the UK, however there is actually a very distinct and likely inspiration for this Pokemon. Zarood is most likely based on the Shug monkey, which comes from English folklore and is described as being a creature who is rather shaggy and bears characteristics of both monkeys and dogs, a description which actually fits Zarood pretty well. As far as my opinion on it goes, it's kind of hard to have a definitive one given that this Pokemon has not been distributed outside of Japan quite yet. However, with that being said, overall I think its design is solid. It's probably one of my least favorite or lesser favorite mythical Pokemon, but overall I don't dislike the Pokemon and I think it's pretty decent. And that covers opinions and facts on all of the new Pokemon from the Crown Tundra, as well as all of the Galar Pokemon that have officially been released and probably will be released now that we've seen both expansions. Thank you guys for watching this video. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Let me know how you're liking the Crown Tundra expansion in the comments below and what you think of these Pokemon. And if you would like to support the channel further, you can always do so by checking out my Pokemon remixes on Spotify and giving my Pokemon Cardinal project a watch here on YouTube if you haven't yet. With that being said, I will be back with another video very soon, and much more Crown Tundra content is on the way, so stay tuned for that, and until then, as always, I love you guys very much, and I will smell you guys later.